And it was during the gold rush days where we started to hear about this giant white wolf. And it's always white. And it was supposed to have decapitated a pair of gold miners during that time. But the report says that they had their heads cut off, not bitten off. But it's still known to be large and does have a bite force that would be able to do that. In later years, the death of these two gold miners was more blamed on a person up here again during those days called the Mad Trapper, where he was a bit of a serial killer, a bushman. He didn't want to be bothered, and he would kill you as quick as look at you for whatever reason he thought was necessary, to whether you looked at him the wrong way or whatever reason. And it took the RSMP years to catch him. Now, these Wahila, a lot of people have tried to figure out what they are from some, prehistoric animals like bear dogs and such. Well, a bear dog, it's too big to fit the description, and it wasn't a bear it wasn't a dog. It just looked like one. But what the descriptions that I get, and I've gotten 2 reports of these Wahilas, is that they are dire wolves. They fit the description of a dire wolves. I mean, they're described as wolves on steroids. Now, our gray wolves, timber wolves, Mackenzie Valley wolves, they're the biggest wolves. Okay, and they are big. They are really huge wolves. But this isn't what people are seeing. Most people know what a timber wolf looks like. They are built like tanks. The two in my general area, this one particular place would be a metal scrapyard. And I went to look about this place. And it would be a good spot to have puppies. The woman was walking her dog down the street. This is in a suburb area. She was walking her dog down the street, and she saw that this wolf kind of on a bit of a hill looking down at her. Now, there was a fence around this area during that time. And she said she just turned around and went right back to her house. But she described it as a tank. The wolf was a tank, and it was just too big and brawny to be a regular gray wolf. And the other report that I got was at a jail in Joyceville, and this is on the outskirts of Kingston. I'm sorry I didn't mention that the other sighting was in Kingston. So this is called the Joyceville Penitentiary, just a rehabilitation facility pretty much now. Now, during that time, and this was also in the early to mid 2000s. During that time, they had a milk farm, and the inmates would do their rehabilitation work by doing farm work. And the one gentleman was bringing the cows in, and he saw it from a distance, but it was big enough that he could tell that this just wasn't a normal, regular timber wolf. Again, same description, built like a tank, wolf on steroids. So we have, these 2 reports of these animals being in the area. And there's other reports of extremely large wolves as well. Throughout North America. But it's mainly Canada and across our borders here, like even in Montana, where there are some exceptionally large wolves. The largest wolf on record was shot in 2012. It was 230 pounds and about 6 feet long. Now, it wasn't white, but it's exceptionally large. And that person shot it just because it was there, apparently. And everybody knows how I feel about wasted life and trophy hunters, and we won't go into that. But he shot it because it was so big. And for a coyote, the largest coyote still on record was shot in 1937, and it was 4 feet 11 inches long from tip to tail and weighed about 75 pounds. That's a good sized coyote. And it is, as you say, that with the interbreeding between coyotes and dogs, they're exceptionally larger. And a mechanic also up in around the Northwest Territories had a sighting of a wahila, and he estimated its height at about 3.5 feet tall at the shoulders. So yeah, that's pretty large. For even a timber wolf. I mean, like, if you've ever been lucky enough to see timber wolves at a zoo, even at zoos, I mean, there's some shrinkage. They are bigger in the wild. Like, I've been fortunate enough to see timber wolves, not only at a zoo, but in the wild as well. I mean, they're not around my area anymore because of overhunting. But I was told that there is a small pack near me, so I'm always in hopes for that. And you yourself had a mysterious canine sighting just a few years ago.
Yes, I did. While I was out squatching a few years ago, I had an experience where in the Uwharrie National Forest where we actually went out by boat to get to this little island place in Uwharrie on Baden Lake, and I went out on the island and had covered a lot of the territory. The island was real small, and I saw a spot where there was a fire ring that was made out of quartz, and I took a few pictures of the fire ring, and it was really beautiful. I've never seen a fire ring totally made out of quartz, and it was large. The fire was like right in the middle, but the ring was, out beyond, where the campfire was charred and burned. I just thought it was all weird looking, and I went over on a log and just sat down and was real quiet. And suddenly, after about 15 minutes of quietness, suddenly a deer just popped up maybe 15 yards from me and just bolted. And I thought, well, I must have scared a deer or spooked him. But I thought that was kind of weird. Well, I heard some noise behind me, maybe 40 to 60 yards, and I looked and I saw what looked like kind of kind of a salt and pepper covering of what almost looked like a pit bull. But when I saw the outline of it move, it had longer legs and it was taller than a pit bull, but that same type of thickness, and it just kind of moved off. I didn't really, see it run. I didn't really get a great silhouette of it out in the open, but I kind of saw it turn and move, and it, I clearly saw what looked like kind of like a pit bull on steroids, and it just moved out, and I heard it as it moved away, but it moved away fairly slowly. And I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, I know that a pit bull isn't going to hunt a deer, and we had been on that island one time before and had seen what I think was a coyote. It had an extremely bushy tail, but it was tall like a coyote, and it was moving really fast actually moving to the back side of that little island. So I know that there are critters that go in and out and hunt in that island. But that was just so weird. So I talked to a guy, maybe a year or two later, that had an experience in Uwharrie where he saw some mysterious canines moving very fast, moving like lightning across, a field area with a tree line, and they moved way faster than any dog he's ever seen. And he sent me some pictures of it, and it looked something like an ancient, dog type, hyena type. And, he sent me, excuse me, the exact pictures of what it looked like. And I'll be doggone if it didn't look a whole lot like what I saw, but what I saw had darker fur. But it's possible, because it was in foliage and in the woods, it could have been in the shade, and from that distance it could have looked darker to me than what it actually was. What he saw was kind of like your typical boxer color, your brown and white boxer color, kind of a lighter brown color is what he saw. Mine appeared to be a darker color. I did a lot of research on it, and of course that would explain, the hyenas in America, urban legends, and so on and so forth, of what a lot of people have seen. Because again, it kind of looked like a pit bull on steroids. That's basically what a hyena is to a great extent. But interestingly enough, on my trail cam, I captured a gray fox, and it's got a salt and pepper back to it. And a gray fox is, around Uwharrie, the folks around Uwharrie call them tree foxes because they can climb trees. There's only a couple of canines that can actually climb trees. As a matter of fact, I think there's only two. I think only a gray fox and an Asian raccoon dog are the only two that can actually climb trees. And so with Uwharrie having a unique animal that's on the scientific record that we know of, like the gray fox, I think that you have to consider the possibility that there's something that maybe was known in the past, or possibly has never been known or discovered, that's out running around in Uwharrie, that I've seen, and that another gentleman who I really trust, I don't have any reason to doubt what he's saying at all. He's a real straightforward guy. So that's another secret that the Uwharries may hold. But I find it very interesting. I've also seen something that I don't think it was a dog. It didn't strike me as a dog, but it almost looked like a cross between a wolverine and what is called a fisher cat. And I saw it cross the road right in front of me in broad daylight, and it had plenty of size to it. I would say it would be a 60, 70 pound animal all day and all night, and it had a longer neck than what a fisher or a wolverine has, and it had a big head. There's nothing like that that's supposed to be in Uwharrie at all. And I drew a picture of that right after I saw it. Of course, I can't draw that well, but it was a darker color. And so I have no way of knowing if it was a full-grown critter, a young one, or an old one, or whatever. I have no way of knowing. But I got a clear look at that, and it again looked like a cross between a wolverine and a fisher cat. And there's not anything like that supposed to be out in Uwharrie. So that's my experiences, and it's it's really it's something out there that I hope in the future I can get some real good documentation of it. It's something that keeps me going and keeps me motivated. So those are my experiences right there. They were all in Uwharrie with canine types. It's really, Uwharrie's really an interesting place.
Well, Uwharrie is